Hi, and welcome to another episode of the BDO Debt Solutions podcast. I'm Tara Bellio, and in this episode, we're going to talk about back-to-school spending. First of all, if you're a parent with school-age children, do not panic. We know there are literally weeks before the kids are back in school, and that it's only July, right? But really, it's not too early to start planning your shopping strategy. And yes, even starting to buy your kids' school supplies, clothes, backpacks, and tablets. Now, if you're the early bird mom or dad, you might not be surprised to learn that shopping early for school stuff is actually trending. Google Canada revealed that online searches for school supplies and fall clothing start as early as June, and then they peak around the end of July. So trending or not, there are definite financial benefits to getting a head start on your back-to-school planning. Getting your kids outfitted and ready for school is expensive. One survey actually reported that for families, back-to-school spending is second only to December holiday spending. Our licensed insolvency trustees and debt help professionals have some great advice and a few smart strategies for making sure your kids are ready for the first day of school without overspending and without adding to your debt. Joining us for this podcast, we are happy to have Craig Friesick from our Calgary office, Jason Stopel from our Thunder Bay office, Jennifer McCracken from our Vancouver office, and Beth Ann Bone from our Oshawa office. Hey Craig, so we just mentioned back to school is an expensive time of year for families. Our first tip for parents is to create a back to school spending plan and to start shopping early. What do you think?
Hi Tara. Let's face it, back to school shopping can get a little bit crazy if you wait until the last minute. The stores are crowded with families trying to navigate the aisles and make their way through the school supply list as quickly and painlessly as possible. That's a recipe for overspending. One of the main benefits of getting started now, in the middle of summer, is that parents will be able to gauge how their summer spending will affect money available for their back-to-school spending, and vice versa. Now's the time to adjust your budget to ensure you can cover both seasons. Let's start the discussion by looking at a few numbers. Over 5 million Canadian children will be heading back to elementary and secondary schools in just a few weeks. Last year, Canadian parents expected to spend almost double what they spent on school supplies the previous year. That's an average of about $883 per household. About 1/4 of grade 4 students will have their own cell phone, and that number jumps to 1/2 of grade 7 students and 85% of grade 11 students. And these are stats from 2014, so we can certainly assume those percentages have gone way up. It's no wonder that over half of Canadian parents admit back-to-school shopping puts a strain on family finances. So how do we create a back-to-school spending plan? The best-case scenario for parents with school-age kids is have a school-related expenses line item in your budget. Putting money aside each month for the cost of classroom supplies, lunch bags, backpacks, pizza lunches, field trips, grad expenses, technology, I could go on. But if you have this line item covering these costs, it'll make it more bearable for the average family. If parents don't have a back-to-school fund, here's what to do. You tally up your expenses from the previous school year. If this is your child's first year, you may be able to get an idea of total cost by doing some research online, talking to other parents or family members. It's a good idea to have at least a rough estimate for how much you'll need to spend over the entire year. Once your initial back-to-school shopping is done this year, prepare for next year. Estimate any additional purchases you'll need to make for the rest of the year. Now you'll know what to put aside each month for the next year. Make this a line item in your budget and you'll be better prepared for the next school year. For parents who are struggling or haven't been able to put aside money for this school year, my friend Jason Stopel from our Thunder Bay office has a few spending strategies to help parents cover these costs and avoid debt.
So Jason, our second tip for parents is to try to avoid back-to-school debt. But that's not always easy. What strategies do you have that might help these parents avoid overspending at this time of year, especially those parents who are already dealing with a tight household budget?
The back-to-school time period in the calendar year is an expensive time for parents. At the end of every August and early September, you're getting your children ready to get them out the door. For those families that are struggling financially already, the regular expenses added with the costs of new shoes, new books, papers, pens, and pencils to get your children ready and out the door can be extremely challenging. A couple of tips and tricks that I like to tell families that I'm working with that are struggling with their budgets and getting ready for back to school are as follows. The first thing I like to say is take a look at and do an inventory of the items that you have in your home. Perhaps if you empty out that junk drawer in the kitchen or go through the old backpack, you might just be able to put together a set of pencil crayons that's workable. You might find that old eraser or identify enough supplies to get your child ready and through to Christmas, when you can maybe repurchase some more, or gifts can get put underneath the tree. The second thing that I like to tell parents to do is to talk to the teacher or see if there's an administrator at the school that you can get a hold of ahead of time. By talking to the teacher or by talking to the school administrator ahead of time, you can actually confirm and find out what are the things that your child will need for that particular year that's coming up. Perhaps some of the things that you bought last year aren't going to be relevant or necessary for this school year. You're better off to make sure that you get the full and complete inventory so that you're not doubling up on expenditures or buying items that you don't actually need. The next thing that parents can do is to spread things out over a 3 or 4 month period. Oftentimes, by taking a look at your budget and adding a few dollars to each month, you can make the purchase of school items a little bit easier on your budget. By starting in June or July or August, getting ready for school, you can maybe add a little bit to your budget month to month to month, so that it's not one big whack all of a sudden at the end of August or early September hitting your credit card. So those are some tips and tricks on how to get ready for back to school.
We all love a good deal. I know I'm a sucker for one. So Jennifer, for parents who want to make sure their back to school spending doesn't get out of control, we suggest the simple money saving strategy. Always look for a less expensive option. Can you expand on that?
In terms of back to school, I suggest to my clients that they dig through their closets and drawers for last year's supplies. There's a lot of things that can be reused and salvaged and repurposed, and that's just a great way to save money. I also suggest that you can shop secondhand or consignment. You'll find a lot of supplies that are actually still in the original wrapping and they have not been used. You also can buy supplies in bulk with other parents or the school. Generally, you're going to see better savings than if you were to buy the individual items on your own. You can wait for sales by watching the flash sales, flyers. You can even use reward cards, but I do suggest that you pay those off right away. And there are a lot of apps that are geared towards back to school, so you can put those on your phone and use those during the summer as you lead up to the back to school season. I also suggest that there's certain items to track that will be cheaper to buy in those months. So for instance, in July, last year's computer models and craft supplies are generally cheaper. In August, you'll find the best sales on backpacks and back to school supplies. In September, last season's bikes, digital cameras, desktop and laptop computers, and then October, jeans, clothing, and school supplies. You'll also see sales on those items. So those are just some easy go-to things you can do to set a goal to save a little bit of money this year in your back to school shopping.
Beth Ann, we have one final back to school tip for parents this year, and it involves their children. Include the kids in the back to school budgeting and spending decisions. Can you explain how parents can do that?
I would say that one of the best things that you could possibly do is to plan early. When it comes to back to school, if you put a little bit aside each and every month, it makes the cost that much better when it comes up. Some of the different things to look at is talk to your kids about what they will actually need, and that's not on the school supply list. Every school will provide a list of what they need. However, kids will always ask for additional amounts. Communicate what the budget and the spending limit is. If they have an understanding of the importance of sticking to a budget, it will make it easier to determine the differences between what is needed and what is wanted. This is also a wonderful opportunity for a teaching lesson for your kids to determine the difference between a need and a want. So the age-old reduce, reuse, recycle could always be put into place when it comes to things like binders or certain supplies that they used the year before. Also, get your kids involved. Get your kids to look online for sales, flip through the flyers, help them prepare a list and a shopping plan for going back to school shopping. If possible, and for older children, you can also consider giving them their own small spending budget to look for the fun things, the things that they really want, like the emoji stationery, the glittery pens, special markers, a certain type of brand. Also, if your children have their own money, consider things like letting them pay the difference between the cost of a basic item versus the specialty brand, which will help them with determining the value of a dollar and how to be spending their money properly.
As always, I'd like to thank our LITs and debt help professionals, Craig, Jason, Jennifer, and Beth Ann, for their advice and strategies. And thank you for taking a few minutes to listen to this episode of our BDO Debt Solutions podcast. Please share this episode with family and friends, especially those moms and dads who might or might not be thinking about back to school in July. Keep an eye out for our next episode when we discuss the real financial challenges many parents and their university-bound kids face at this time of year. And finally, for more podcasts and videos, check out our YouTube channel, BDO Debt Solutions Canada. Until next time, I'm Tara Bellio, reminding you that it is possible to leave debt behind.